Welcome to Forex Daybreak, a daily podcast where we cover 8 Forex pairs and give you our view on the market direction for these pairs. If you are trading Forex market, this is the #1 show to start your trading day. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Good morning everybody and welcome to Forex Daybreak episode 26. In this daily Forex update, I will give you my view on 8 Forex pairs I analyze using Elliott-Wave principle. My name is Ville Vainio and today is 11th of September 2015. This podcast is recorded also as video and it is available from the members area at ForexDayBreak.com. Show notes for this episode can be found at ForexDayBreak.com/26. Now let's get started and let's get right onto the markets with our first pair, which is EURUSD. And yesterday we saw a push upwards, which I have now labeled Minuette wave 4 peak. And yesterday I talked about the possible target, which I think I mentioned would be maybe 112.8 level or 112.7. It went all the way up to 113, but has since come down, declined slightly, and possibly starting the last 5th wave down to complete this 5-wave structure. So this 4th wave advance from the low, last midterm low or short-term low of 110.86 has been choppy and more or less corrective looking, so I'm expecting this to start declining and form the last wave down to complete this first largest structure of 5 waves. Key levels on EURUSD are 113.19 is the resistance on the upside. This is latest 2 peaks, high peaks are acting as support, and on the downside this 112.13 level is going to be next support. This can be traded now to the downside in my opinion. I already entered a sell order here and I'm expecting a decline of maybe similar length than the first wave decline, which is the 315 pips approximately. So if we would see a 315 pip decline, we would end up in 109.85 approximately. So if you target 110, that would be, I think, a decent and conservative target, and we should be able to see a decline towards those levels. Like I said, I already entered the trade, but if you are more risk averse than I am, maybe you should follow this on a lower time frame chart and confirm a 5-wave structure to the downside first and then look for a better entry point. I'm expecting this to decline. I have my stop loss quite high. I have put it in 113.97 approximately, because this is the low of the first wave. So if we reach to these levels, this whole wave structure and count is wrong, so then there is something else going on if we reach to near 114 levels. You can put it of course a little bit lower than I have put mine. Okay, that's all for EURUSD. Let's move to dollar yen. Dollar yen has been more or less on a sideways range yesterday. I think this is now a minor degree or small degree wave 4 correction, and we should see more upside on dollar yen. I also put a trade in dollar yen, and like I said, I think yesterday or day before, I don't keep my trades visible in my charts. I always hide them because I think the analysis what I make primary to myself and of course to you listeners, I feel like I can be more objective when I have a clean chart with no trade lines or stop loss lines or anything like that. So this is why if you're watching this on video, you cannot see any trade lines on my charts, but they are there. I already put a trade in dollar yen, and I'm going to start keeping some kind of backtracking system to analyze and to report my winning and losing trades. I haven't figured out the correct or the proper formation which I would do that, but I think maybe in this podcast, or maybe I do a separate episode once in a while in which I can more open up the trade results for you and of course to myself. Okay, so key levels in dollar yen are 121.3 is the next resistance level, and 120 psychological level on the downside is the next support level, and I'm expecting this to start making more upside moves to complete this small 5-way structure before a larger correction can take place. But I think this is going higher. This is third wave of this last larger 5-wave sequence, so I'm expecting more upside on dollar yen. Okay, next is pound dollar, and the upside has continued yesterday. We are now in between the 50% and the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement levels. Price is 154.37, and I think we are on a midway on this correction. Perhaps there's going to be a B wave next. Yesterday I talked that perhaps we were on a B wave yesterday, but it's hard to say for sure if the yesterday's decline was a B wave. I think it was slightly too short to be a B wave on this degree, so perhaps we are going to see more downside in here. Eventually I'm expecting this to go higher. This correction is not over yet, and perhaps in the 61.8% Fibonacci level, which is at 155.675. So perhaps we reach eventually those levels, maybe even slightly higher. But hard to say at this point which is going to be the next move here. We might have seen the B wave already yesterday. This small downwards or sideways move. Those of you who are watching this on video, you can see this sideways range that ended yesterday could have been a B wave, or it was a smaller correction, because now this is looking more like a 5-way structure, and this would fit more to the idea that this is an A wave, and now we should get a B wave and maybe a C wave to the upside towards the 61.8% Fibonacci level. So let's see how this plays out. Key levels on pound dollar are that the next resistance is the 50% Fibonacci retracement at 154.9, and on the downside 154.13 is the next support level. This is the 38.2% Fibonacci level. And those of you who are watching the video, it's clearly visible on the chart, the Fibonacci retracement tool that I have put on this chart. Okay, next let's move to Euro Pound, and the Euro Pound is more or less on the same sideways range it has been for weeks now. No progress has been made. Of course, this is quite a large range, so the upper and lower areas of the range are close to 150 pips apart, so the volatility has been fairly high in this pair. No clear wave structure and no clear signal as to where this is going. The direction is not clear to me, at least. I'm still expecting this to go higher. One more push higher is needed in my opinion, but there is no sign of any impulsive structure to the upside in my opinion. So we just have to see how this is going to resolve this sideways correction. Key levels are more or less the same. 0.7223 is the support level and 0.733 on the upside is the resistance. So more or less this sideways range, upper and lower boundaries are the support and retracement levels. Support and resistance levels. So no trades here, nothing solid to trade. So I'm going to wait, and I would recommend to wait until we see a clear sign of some structure here, neither to the upside or to the downside. Next is Euro Yen, which has moved very strongly to the upside. We are now at 136.27 and right at the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement. In my wave count, this is forming a Minuette wave 2 correction of Minuette wave C correction to the downside. So in my opinion, this is correction on a larger downwards wave, and we should see a reversal at some point. This has been a very strong upwards move, and there's hardly any wave divisions visible here. Yesterday I was talking about that we should see a B wave on the middle of this sharp correction, but there has been no larger sideways or pullback on this strong upwards move. So perhaps this is on a later stages, or perhaps this is still missing the B wave. So let's see how this develops. Yesterday I told that I would not trade this to the upside. Well, if you did trade, you got some pips out of this. I still would not recommend to trade this. This can be on a later stages of this upwards correction and can turn down. So let's see how this develops, and if we are going to see a reversal, or if we are going to see a B wave and then more upside on this. At this point, hard to say because there's hardly any wave divisions seen in Euro Yen. Key levels on Euro Yen are that a 136.4 is the next resistance level on the upside, and this is the 61.8% Fibonacci level, and 135.6 is on the downside, the support level. and this is the 50% Fibonacci retracement level. Okay, next is pound yen, which has stalled slightly and is not that strong anymore, not that strong looking to the upside. Possibly a B wave is forming now, since there is a smaller 5-wave structure to the peak at 186.4 approximately. So perhaps we are now forming an expanded flat on the B wave position. We should see a decline next towards 184 level, and then one more similar move to the upside. This first upside move is 633 pips, so quite a move. So if we would get a similar move on the C wave of this correction, we should see this go past to 61.8% level and near 190 level. So there should be a very nice trading opportunity if this plays out like I just visioned it. So price now 186.5. If we get a decline towards 184 level, I would enter a buy order on that. Maybe starting next week we should be on those levels. So I'm expecting this to decline to form the B wave, then move higher for the C wave of this correction. So this is minute wave 2 correction we are now forming. Key levels on pound yen: 187.665 is the next resistance level, 185.87 is the next support level. So perhaps a decline towards 184 and then a similar strong 5-wave structure to the upside. So let's look for that trade when we see a decline, if we see a decline towards 184 levels. Next is Euro Canadian, and also a slight new high was made yesterday. I have labeled this as Minuette wave 4, and I'm expecting a decline next, a smaller degree 5-wave structure as the 5th wave would form, and if it would be equal to the first wave, which is 472 pips approximately, we are going to see a decline near 144.7 level. So there's a decent trade here. I still have that trade running. I put was it Monday or Tuesday, and it's losing money right now, but hasn't hit the stop loss, so I'm keeping this open. It went very close to my stop loss level, but it hasn't triggered yet, so I'm keeping this running, and I'm expecting a downwards move next. So perhaps this will be on the profit next week, and I can get some pips out of that trade. Key levels on Euro Canadian: 150 on the upside is resistance, and 147 on the downside is the support. Same levels than yesterday. So look for a decline next towards this 147 level. You can trade this to the downside, enter short, look for a good entry point on the lower time frame charts. And finally is US dollar Canadian, and hardly anything to report in this pair. This sideways triangle looking formation is still the case here, and perhaps we are forming a triangle, and perhaps I will need a slight revision on this count. Perhaps the latest high is the 3rd wave and we are now on a B wave triangle here. I haven't made this revision yet, but maybe I will make it during the weekend, since this sideways triangle looking formation is hardly a C wave, so my labeling is maybe incorrect right now. Key levels in dollar Canadian is more or less the same. 131.17 is the support on the downside, and 133 is the resistance on the upside. I have drawn the upper trend line of this possible triangle on the chart. Those of who are watching the video can see this on the chart. So this trend line will be acting as support. But if this is a triangle, this should be over already. So we should see next a decline. I'm still looking for a decline towards perhaps the 128.6 level. Maybe not that low. Maybe slightly higher than that. So let's see how this develops. I wouldn't trade this pair because it's very hard to say what is really going on here, but looking like a triangle, perhaps this is now the B wave position, so a decline next would be ideal to conclude this fourth wave correction. Okay, that's all for today's episode. Visit the show notes at ForexDayBreak.com/26 and leave your comments on that page. Remember that this podcast is recorded also as video, and it is available from the members area at ForexDayBreak.com. Two other features you find there are my Elliott Wave Ninja trading system and my mentoring program. All of these are included in the subscription plan at ForexDayBreak.com. I have a 5-day free trial for you to see what's inside. Thanks for listening to my show. Now go make some profits, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.
Thanks for your interest in Forex Daybreak Daily Podcast. If you like this show, we hope you'll visit our website, www.ForexDayBreak.com, and tell your friends about us. Be sure to check the show notes on our website for this episode. Join us next time for another episode of Forex Daybreak.